This is Part 2, Episode 83. This was the first time Wang Qiu's expression had changed since the start of the competition. As her opponent's question was too sudden and random, she blushed instantly. Both she and Wang Donga had the same, divinely beautiful face. Now that her face turned red, she looked as gorgeous as a peony. Do you want to die? Wang Qiu swung her golden dragon spear out instantly. While the captain of the Radiant City Academy might be a girl, she behaved like a hooligan. However, while this captain might seem overboard, her reaction was not slow. She leapt back and dodged her spear. She did not retaliate, but instead turned to the unbreakable Doluo and said, "Referee, she attacked me before the competition started. Who dares to say she's dumb?" At this crucial moment, she was smarter than anyone else. Jingzhon instantly appeared between the two of them. He looked at Wang Qiu and said seriously, "I'll warn you once. If you break the rules again, I'll disqualify you." The captain of the Radiant Academy team smiled gleefully. However, Jingzhon quickly turned to her and said seriously, "Watch your words. You're representing Radiant City. If you offend your opponent with your words once more, I'll disqualify you too." The captain of the Radiant Academy team's mouth twitched as she said, "I'm only stating a fact. Let's start. Just let me beat her." "Report your names," said Jingzhon with an ugly expression. Shrek, Wang Qiu. Radiant Academy, Xu Tianjin. When she heard this name, Wang Qiu could not help but stifle a smile. She almost laughed. This person is really as her name goes. She's so dumb and Tianjin naive. Both sides, step back, Jingzhon shouted out. "I'm awesome, you're finished." Xu Tianjin waved her not-so-big fist at Wang Qiu. Only then did she turn to walk to the edge of the arena. Wang Qiu completely ignored Xu Tianjin. She gripped her golden dragon spear and walked to her own side. That short intermission had helped her regain much of her soul power. Wang Qiu's fighting style was unlike that of most soul masters. She battled with her as the center of it all. To be precise, she fought with an unprecedented will and an indomitable spirit. She used her innate potential. The stronger her opponent, the more she could tap into her potential, and the stronger she would become. This was why she was terrifying. She always looked down on her opponent. This was her plan. Her arrogance came from her bones. Begin. Swoosh. An ear-splitting sound, as if space itself was being split apart, could be heard. The golden dragon spear zoomed toward Xu Tianjin, who was about 100 meters away, like a bolt of electricity. This was her most powerful response to what Xu Tianjin had said. However, Xu Tianjin, who was in combat mode, changed too. She placed her hands together in front of her face, raised her arms, and while interlocking her fingers, made a motion as if she were lifting the very sky. Her not very big chest appeared bigger because of his motion too. A piercing ray of red light shot out from her body. In the center of her skyward palms, a reddish-orange ball of light appeared. 2 yellow, 2 purple, and 2 black soul rings, the perfect combination, rose from underneath her feet. Her third soul ring instantly started to shine. A ray of reddish-orange light shot out and struck the lightning-like golden dragon spear. Boom! A huge explosion went off. Struck by the reddish-orange light, the gold light around the golden dragon spear started to fade, and its speed slowed significantly. However, it continued on its way toward its target. The first soul ring around Xu Tianjin started to shine too. A reddish-orange halo appeared underneath her feet, and the ray of reddish-orange light above her head started to sink down into the ground. Then, her body suddenly disappeared. When she reappeared, she was standing where the earlier ray of light had shone. Like this, she was able to dodge the golden dragon spear, appearing behind it. Wang Qiu took a step forward as she stomped on the ground. Her entire body rose up into the air as she charged toward Xu Tianjin. After she dodged the golden dragon spear, the light in Xu Tianjin's eyes became extremely clear. From her palms, 10,000 rays of light shot into the reddish-orange ball of light in the air, turning the entire arena into a bright, golden-red world. Wang Qiu suddenly felt disoriented. Under the powerful light, she lost her target. Below the arena, He Kai-Tu suddenly opened his mouth and said, "This is a descendant of the Sun Moon, the possessor of the sun. The captain of the Radiant Academy is from the main branch of the Sun Moon Empire's imperial family." The stage was covered in golden red light. One could barely see clearly. Everyone from the Tang sect looked at him simultaneously in shock. He Kai-tu felt out of place. He turned to see if anyone else was looking at him before saying in a low voice, "Members of the imperial family of the Sun-Moon Empire have a powerful type of martial soul. This was one of the reasons why they could ascend the throne. The Sun martial soul is possessed only by the direct descendants of this bloodline. The power of the Sun is extremely strong and intense. It is the top fire-type martial soul. While it isn't an ultimate strength martial soul, it's not too far off. Furthermore, it can tap into the power of the Sun to strengthen the owner. Compared to elder sister's moon, it is superior." Evidently, just as Kai-tu was doing his analysis, everyone else noticed that as the reddish-gold light on the arena grew stronger, the light from the Sun around became weaker. Only the light that shone down on the arena seemed stronger. This created an odd spectacle. It was as if a light pillar about 100 meters wide had descended from the sky and landed on the arena. She used her third soul skill first, Divine Sunlight. Then, she used her first soul skill, Inverse Sunday. At the same time, she should have used her fifth soul skill, Lofty Light Rays. Wang Chua is up against a strong foe. Up on the arena, Wang Chua, who was in the middle of it all, could feel it best. As the entire arena was basked in the powerful reddish-gold light, she knew her vision was affected. All she could see before her was a patch of gold. She couldn't even sense Xu Tianjin's location. Furthermore, the temperature of the arena rose continually because of this golden-red light. It was like lava from the early days of the earth. The heat was roasting her body. At this moment, what shocked Wang Chua was the fact that she was not thinking about how she should subdue her enemy. Instead, she wished she had Hu Yuhao's ultimate ice armor on her. With that, she would not need to fear the heat of the sun. Wang Chua waved her right hand and instantly retrieved her golden dragon spear. She stood in her original position and closed her eyes. Golden scales soon enveloped her entire body. A golden dragon swirled around her protectively, and a layer of golden fog soon rose from her body. Like a statue, she stood in the center of the arena without moving. When he saw the vast amount of gold and red, Hu Yuhao could not help but frown. At this time, he couldn't help Wang Chua anymore. Unlike last time, he hadn't hidden himself in advance. Furthermore, he did not think that Wang Chua would admit defeat. Most importantly, he had a match in the afternoon too. If he overexerted himself, what could he do for the Tang sect later? While he could forcibly use spiritual detection to penetrate the protective barrier and help Wang Chua, he did not know how draining it would be. Hence, he hesitated. Faced with Wang Chua's inaction, Xu Tianjin was perplexed. Of course, she could sense Wang Chua's location, but she did not dare to act without caution. Wang Chua stood there like a statue, but she was also like a volcano that could blow up at any moment. Once she did, she would strike with devastating force. Frankly speaking, Xu Tianjin was an anomaly in Radiant City. Her unique aspect lay in the fact that she was actually a soul master, not a soul engineer. After all, how could someone like her, who possessed the powerful Sun martial soul, not cultivate? With this option available, no one would willingly be a soul engineer. Xu Tianjin had entered the Radiant City Soul Engineering Academy as a special exception. While she knew how to use soul tools, she preferred to use her martial soul. Xu Tianjin did not move easily. On the arena, everything seemed to have been silenced by the reddish-gold light. Why was Xu Tianjin not in a rush? Her lofty light rays was a powerful domain-type attack. This attack not only burned its target by increasing the temperature, but it actually also harnessed the power of the sun in the sky. As time passed, it would absorb even more power from the sun. Not only could it raise the temperature in her domain, but she could also accumulate enough of it to attack explosively. The power from it would be devastating. Hence, she was likewise in no rush. The person who was truly caught in a rut was the referee, the unbreakable Doluo Jingzhon. As the referee, he had to observe the two sides as they fought in the arena. At the right moment, he had to declare the competition to be over and announce a winner. Normally, he would not be struck by any attacks himself. However, faced with this domain-type soul skill, there was nowhere he could run. While the lofty light rays were not actually lofty, they were still relatively tall. At that height, how could he judge what was going on down there? Furthermore, he couldn't forcibly resist the suppression from the domain-type soul skill. If not, Xu Tianjin would be affected. Helpless, this powerful Class 9 soul engineer could only bear the effects of the domain-type attack. With his astounding cultivation, he would not be injured, but it was not a good feeling to be roasted alive, either. Everyone, both on the arena and off it, was tense. The team from the Radiant City Seoul Engineering Academy stood up to watch the round. They knew that if Xu Tianjin lost, they would truly be finished. Reddish-yellow light shone on the arena of the Continental Elite Youth Soul Master Tournament. It had been there for more than a minute now. No one could tell what was going on in the arena because of the light, but dark red molten metal flowed down the inside of the protective barrier, and the intense heat caused many waves to form on it. If even the metal was melting, one could tell how terrifying the temperature in the arena was. Hu Yuhao did not help Wang Chua in the end. He believed in her abilities. At the same time, he did so for the Tang sect. He was a member of the Tang sect, and while the glory of Shrek was important, he was the main control-type soul master of the Tang sect as well. If he could not take part in the top 8 fight at full strength, what if his teammates became injured? After entering the top 8, any mistake might cost them the entire competition. Even if Wang Chua lost, she still had other teammates. All the best, Chua. Hu Yuhao clenched his right fist unconsciously. Suddenly, at this moment, the scene in the arena started to change. The intense reddish-gold light began to contract at an astounding pace. Everyone could now see that the ground of the arena was heated completely red. The light, that was slowly receding to a single spot, became more and more mysterious. It started to twist and turn intensely, forming shapes like water ripples. This is... Xu Tianjin's form could be seen. Both her palms reached out into the sky, and she held a small sun. However, the sun had turned dark red. On her body, the light from her 6th soul ring shone radiantly. The jet-black soul ring appeared to have dyed the sun, even turning it darker. This is Sun's gaze. Her 6th soul skill is actually Sun's gaze. Wang Chua is in danger, He Kai-tu blurted out. Without needing his explanation, Hu Yuhao could clearly see the purpose of Sun's gaze. It gathered the energy of the sun, compressed it, and concentrated it. The reddish-gold light was concentrated onto one point as if it were flowing through a funnel. Without a doubt, that was where Wang Chua was standing. Indeed, this was a classic case whereby the spectators would have a better understanding of what was going on compared to the person who was directly involved. Wang Chua could not see what was going on. All she could feel was the temperature around her rising steadily. When all the light had been concentrated at that point, Xu Tianjin would be able to unleash a devastating attack. Sun's gaze was an extremely powerful attack. However, the conditions for gaining it were extremely difficult. One had to locate a soul beast called the sun bug, and find the king of a colony of sun bugs. Only then could one obtain this soul skill. The place where the sun bugs could be found was as dangerous as the core regions of the Great Star Doe Forest. Finding the king of the sun bugs wasn't something that could be done within a few hours. One could only imagine the difficulty Xu Tianjin had to go through to obtain this soul skill. However, Sun's gaze was also an attack with many abilities. It could be combined with the many other soul skills of her sun martial soul, such as lofty light rays and divine sunlight. Furthermore, its offensive power was incredible. For someone who possessed a martial soul like hers, it was a godly move. Tapping into the sun's gaze ability to be combined with other attacks, Xu Tianjin had been preparing this attack for a very long time. When she finally unleashed it, it would be as strong as a full-strength attack from a 7-ringed soul sage. It was capable of melting metal, and was almost as hot as ultimate fire. No, I must tell Chua. The gaze in Hu Yuhao's eyes concentrated, and a golden light shone from his pupils. Just when he was about to intervene and inform Wang Chua through spiritual detection, an odd scene appeared. The rapidly shrinking sunlight suddenly stopped. Then, the clear roar of a dragon could be heard. A cold smile formed around the corners of Xu Tianjin's mouth. It's too late now. My lofty light rays and sun's gaze have locked onto you. Right now, after the size of the domain has been reduced, you will be burned by fire from the sun. Even a soul sage cannot escape. Aren't you waiting for your chance? Now, let's see what tricks you have. Even with your instant teleportation, can you really escape the fire of the sun? A cold look flashed across Xu Tianjin's eyes. Was she really as naive and dumb as she looked? Only she knew the answer to that question. Indeed, the increasingly mysterious light paused for a short while. Then, it started to retract inward and soon, it was about to concentrate on a single point. Hu Yuhao's eyes were closed, and his shapeless spiritual power penetrated the protective barrier. His spiritual power was being depleted at an astounding rate. However, the moment his spiritual power entered the arena, he immediately opened his eyes. The golden light in his eyes faded, and a look of shock crossed his face. The light was finally concentrated onto a single point. Wang Qiu's slender frame could be seen. "I told you, go and die," Xu Tianjun shouted intensely. It was as if she had already seen Wang Qiu's body melting and exploding under Sun's gaze. After they lost Wang Qiu, she did not believe that the team from Shrek could threaten her anymore. "There's no need to hide, I won't kill you." From Xu Tianjun's perspective, Wang Qiu, who should have no way of resisting, lifted her right hand. Her long golden dragon spear pointed straight into the sky. All of the concentrated sunlight was congregated around her body. Explode. No. Not a single sound could be heard. Then, an unbelievably bright light started to shine. It was not as eye-piercing as before. Instead, it was dazzling and radiant. Wang Qiu's clothes were gone. However, she currently had another layer of golden marble on her that was extremely eye-catching. A terrifying aura could be felt from her body, and her powder blue hair flew behind her. She was naturally beautiful, but at this moment, clad in the golden marble armor, she looked even more regal and mysterious. The terrifying aura made even Jing Zhon, the unbreakable Doluo, inhale. Xu Tianjun looked at the scene before her in shock. She could not believe what she was seeing. She had deliberately planned to trap her opponent, and then unleash her most powerful soul skill. However, in the end, the power of her attack was gone. On the other hand, her opponent shone so brightly, like a reborn phoenix. What was going on? "I know," said Hui Yuhao. Just now, when his spiritual power penetrated the protective barrier, he could immediately sense Wang Qiu's aura increasing rapidly. Hence, he did not decide to continue assisting her with spiritual detection. Now, as he looked at Wang Qiu, he understood what was going on. Teacher previously mentioned that the dragon god bathed in sun-moon essence, which then created the golden dragon and the silver dragon. The golden dragon inherited the brilliance of the sun, which eventually became an ultimate power. The silver dragon absorbed the brilliance of the moon, which eventually became multi-elemental. The golden dragon's power came from the brilliance of the sun, which was also the source of the sun's power. Hence, how could she be scared of fire from the sun? Xu Tianjun's martial soul is the sun, which is the best complement for her. This has allowed her own power to increase. In my opinion, not only has Qiu regained all her strength, but her power is now also at an unprecedented peak. Her overall soul power may even have increased. The teacher Hui Yuhao had mentioned naturally referred to Elder Mu. Only Elder Mu had such a wide range of knowledge. No one knew if the dragon god existed. However, the history of the continent had many records of the golden dragon and silver dragon. Trying to defeat the golden dragon with the power of the sun was like pouring oil on fire. Bei Bei smiled and said, "Knowledge is power." Wang Qiu gripped her golden dragon spear and walked toward Xu Tianjun. Her feet, covered with golden marble, strode quickly over the surface of the ground, which had been almost completely melted into a metallic puddle. Yet, she showed no sign of discomfort. When Xu Tianjun finally reacted, the small sun in her palm shone with light. Another divine sunlight landed on Wang Qiu. Wang Qiu had no intention of dodging. The reddish-gold light spread all over her golden armor. All it did was make it even glossier. How could it hurt her? You. Wang Qiu said plainly, "I won't kill you, and I must thank you for further refining the power in my blood. My martial soul is the golden dragon, and it has only been purified at this point. My soul power increased by a level 2. If you want to continue increasing my soul power, you can continue attacking me." "Thanks." Xu Tianjun's face changed. At that moment, she realized the curious predicament she was in. Her own martial soul would further strengthen her opponent's martial soul. Furthermore, it was a one-way street. When her attack landed on her opponent, it was like feeding her a tonic. "Oh shit." The light from the sun went out. Xu Tianjun looked seriously at Wang Qiu. Many different expressions fluttered across her face. At this moment, neither side was attacking. The unbreakable Doluo could not declare that the round had ended. However, everyone could tell that this peculiar round had indeed ended. "I yield," Xu Tianjun said with her head bowed. Wang Qiu said plainly, "You should have realized that none of you have any chance anymore. For the individual elimination round, in my current condition, I can even defeat a soul sage. Yes. Xu Qianzhen suddenly lifted her head. Her eyes brimmed with regret. Wang Qiu'er. Yes? As her cultivation and blood had both been refined and strengthened, Wang Qiu'er was in an extremely good mood. She had also become more patient. If only you were a guy. I'd do everything I could to chase after you and become your girl, Xu Qianzhen cried out as she clenched her fists. The look of excitement on Wang Qiu'er's face froze. The unbreakable Doluo, who was about to announce the result of the competition, stumbled and almost fell into the liquid-hot metallic puddle that was the current arena floor. The students from the Radiant City Soul Engineering Academy all covered their faces. Lu Jun bent over. He did not dare to look at his weird captain. Xu Qianzhen quickly stood upright and looked at Jing Zhon, who looked back at her as if she were an alien, and said, I concede defeat. Our team concedes defeat. We won't fight anymore. With that, she turned and walked off the arena. Just when everyone breathed out in relief, Xu Qianzhen suddenly stopped, turned back to look at Wang Qiu'er, and said, Wang Qiu'er, are you sure you aren't a guy in disguise? Wang Qiu'er gripped her golden dragon spear tightly and said darkly, I realize my decision to not kill you was a mistake. Why? Xu Qianzhen said as she dashed off without hesitation. She ran, leapt, somersaulted in mid-air, and very quickly got off the arena stage. The first round of the top 8 round ended in such a comical fashion. After Wang Qiu'er left the arena, she waved at her teammates and then disappeared instantly. After all, the armor formed from the fire of the sun could not last for long. She had nothing on underneath the armor. Furthermore, she wished to absorb everything she had gained today to preserve the increase in her own power. Shrek Academy became the first team to enter the top 4. The next round in the first half was between the Proud Sword sect and the Heavenly Dragon sect. They stood up and walked to the waiting zone while looking at each other. The enmity between the two teams did not appear to be very strong. Instead, they both shared similar sentiments in their minds. Wang Qiu'er is too powerful. At first, as the average strength of Shrek Academy was not that strong, the few powerful sects did not pay much attention to them until they witnessed their match against the Sun Moon Imperial Soul Engineering Academy. The performance of Shrek Academy was glorious beyond words. Even though the team from Shrek was a one-woman team, that one woman in their team was too strong. As they watched Wang Qiu'er leave, even the powerful evil soul masters from the Holy Ghost sect looked wary. Just now, an attack that was more powerful than a soul sage could muster served only to beautify her outfit. Wang Qiu'er, who was already the most powerful soul master in this tournament, had become even stronger. Anyone from the other 6 teams might meet her. How could they not worry? Among the 6 teams, only the Tang sect appeared to be at ease. As the first round for the morning ended with the Radiant City Soul Engineering Academy admitting defeat, the tournament was able to move on pretty quickly. The Proud Sword sect and the Heavenly Dragon sect entered the waiting zone. They were told that they had a while to prepare. The arena had to be cleared and maintained. Time was needed for the melted stage top to cool down. Furthermore, the dripping metal had affected the protective barrier, which also needed to be fine-tuned. On the main podium, Zhu Zi whispered softly in Xu Qianran's ears. Your Highness, Xu Qianzhen, and you are dash. She had seen Xu Qianran use his powers before. Hence, she knew about the hereditary martial soul of the Sun Moon Empire's imperial family. Xu Qianran's face had a weird look as he said, that was my rebellious sister. That girl doesn't listen to anyone. Father treated her too kindly. Zhu Zi opened her eyes in shock and said, she's a princess. This? Xu Qianran naturally understood what she meant as he smiled bitterly and said, that's right, she's my brutish, rebellious, and carefree younger sister. She's also the only princess in the main branch of the imperial family. When she was born, she was extremely playful and cute. Hence, father named her Qianzhen, and she is known as Princess Qianzhen. However, who would have expected then that this girl could create so much trouble for the entire imperial family? She stole makeup from the concubines, demolished father's rest palace, and even burned the main pavilion down. When she finally grew up, father wanted to send her to study at the Sun Moon Imperial Soul Engineering Academy, but she did not want to go. Instead, she wanted to study at Shrek Academy. You should know that our relationship with Shrek Academy has never been good. While she's naughty, she's also father's favorite, and my brothers and I all like her. Naturally, we wouldn't let her take such a risk. For this, Father blew up at her for the first time, and grounded her for a while. After her grounding, she still chose not to go to the Sun Moon Imperial Soul Engineering Academy, as she was still rebellious. Instead, she decided to go to the Radiant City Soul Engineering Academy. Speaking of it, in terms of cultivation, Princess Tianjin is the best of all my siblings. It was quite a feat for her to enter the top 8. However, she's too embarrassing. Luckily for me, she did not mention that she was a princess. If not, I would really be humiliated. Juzi smiled and said, Princess Tianjin is so adorable. This isn't a bad thing. I like her direct and carefree personality. She doesn't seem as tired as you, Your Highness. Xu Qianran laughed bitterly and said, exactly. While my brothers and I fight among ourselves, we all like her very much. The more we spoil her, the more unrestrained her behavior becomes. There's no way around it. She has to return to the palace after she graduates. As her sister-in-law, please guide her well. If she can be just half as smart and obedient as you, I wouldn't have to worry so much. I don't know what trouble she'll cause next. Also, if you can, help me scout for exceptional talents from the younger generation in Radiant City. Help me find a good husband for her, and I'll be more at ease. Juzi smiled and nodded in agreement. She could tell that while Xu Tianran tried to make his situation sound helpless, he cared a great deal for Princess Tianjin. In the resting area, Bei Bei said to Hu Yuhao in a low voice, Yu Hao, after being in this competition, I realize your suggestion for the academy was right. Hu Yuhao was stunned, but quickly understood what he meant. Elder brother, do you mean the combination of soul tools and soul masters? Bei Bei nodded. Over the past few years, as the Sun Moon Empire is developing their soul tools rapidly, Shrek has been in an increasingly disadvantageous position. However, ever since Ancestor decided to develop soul tools, I realize that we are finally on the right path. No wonder the Sun Moon Empire devotes so much energy to soul tools. Soul engineers can actually be so strong. However, they don't have enough talented people to become soul masters. On the other hand, our academy does. In this aspect, the original 3 countries of the Doluo continent are much stronger than the Sun Moon Empire. Every soul master and martial soul has its unique advantages. At the same time, they have their own weaknesses too. With the presence of soul tools, they'll be able to rectify these weaknesses. Furthermore, when soul masters and soul tools work closely together, they'll be able to increase their overall fighting strength. Your ultimate soldier plan has succeeded. I feel that after you recover, you'll undergo a transformation. Look, other than the Radiant City Soul Engineering Academy, which has been eliminated, the other teams that entered the top 8 were all soul master sects. Also, many of them know how to wield soul tools. Everyone can see this trend. Hu Yuhao chuckled and said, Elder brother, the Tang sect isn't weak in terms of our soul tools either. When we get back, we should get Elder Xian to make an appropriate soul tool for each of us. In fact, the main reason why the Sun Moon Empire can beat the original 3 countries on the Doluo continent with soul tools is because of the disparity in strength at a high level. In terms of individual battling strength, a Class 9 soul engineer cannot match up against a 9-ringed titled Doluo. However, on the battlefield, the situation is different. The destructive power a Class 9 soul engineer can bring to the battlefield far exceeds that of a 9-ringed titled Doluo. Furthermore, there are many possibilities for soul tools. Hence, the title Doluo does not have the overall advantage over a Class 9 soul engineer. Shrek Academy, and the former 3 countries, may be developing soul tools, but we started off late, and in terms of high-end soul tools, the Sun Moon Empire is far ahead of us. If we want to catch up, we will need time. It's not hard for each country to realize the potent combination of soul masters and soul tools. Like Shrek, if that's our only objective, there's no way we can beat a Class 9 soul engineer. The same applies to the Tang sect. No one knows how many Class 9 soul tools the Sun Moon Empire has accumulated over all these years. While we can't ascertain their number, it's certain that the strength of just one can eliminate an entire army. That is extremely scary. Hence, if we want to resist the Sun Moon Empire, we will have to delay them as much as possible for our own research and development to catch up. After all, in terms of title Doluo, the original 3 countries of the continent will always have an advantage, even if the Sun Moon Empire has the Holy Ghost Church. Bei Bei nodded and said, You're right. However, the Sun Moon Empire is on the verge of striking. I feel that once the Crown Prince ascends the throne, he'll start a full-scale war. Time waits for no man. Hu Yuhao sighed and said, that isn't something we can decide. The strength of an individual is too small. Bei Bei said, if war really does happen, what will you do? Hu Yuhao said without hesitation, I'll enlist in the Star Luo Empire's army. Oh? Bei Bei could see that Hu Yuhao had evidently planned for this. On his other side, Wang Dong'er looked at Hu Yuhao in surprise. She had never heard him mention this before. Hu Yuhao said, after my body recovers, and I achieve some academic success, I have to take care of things at home. Wang Dong'er spoke up suddenly, you're going to seek revenge. Part 2 end here.